I mean, I think uh, back in the beginning, when I craved access to data and I craved software that would get me information, I really wanted to answer three questions, which is like, are we succeeding or not? If not, what's standing in the way? And then, are the things we're doing more likely to help us succeed? And those are the questions I wanted. Now, 10, 15 years later, what obviously keeps me up at night, what brought us here, is that the investment in ostensibly answering those questions has not yielded answers to those questions. It's like a water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. It's we've spent how much money on doing this, and yet the goal for this year is still collect more data, or try out something with AI, or it is constantly a deference. And to be clear, Tim, I think there's plenty of people out there smarter, or minimally like really well aware of this. So let me ask you, like, maybe the $64,000 question, which is like, if we're not the only ones feeling this feeling, why do you think most companies are struggling to do anything meaningful about it?
And I sort of skipped over in the opening that you also have a book that you came out, I don't know, a year before my book, and I looked at it and I'd read it, and we were saying kind of the same thing. So not only are there people who are seeing it, there are at least two people, we happen to both be on here, who were so motivated about the frustration that we sat down and kind of wrote about it. And it's a kind of, to me, a very fascinating study. If you read both books, they are very aligned, coming from very different directions, but they actually say the same thing and kind of recommend the same approaches. I think the challenge is that it is something that requires kind of an organizational solve, which means there has to be kind of acknowledging that the hangover exists. And what we tend to see is frustration, but a feeling that it's somebody else's problem to fix, or that the solve for it is somewhere else. Actually, see, we have a question, and we're going to get to questions formally here in a bit, but somebody asked, what about organizations where business stakeholders don't trust and respect their analytics team? And to me, that goes to the heart of it, that there's this magical envisioned virtuous cycle where the business has a question and they send it to the data or analytics or experimentation team, who get into the data, answer the question, and send it back. And it might be in a meeting, but they're throwing it back over the wall. And that the business sees that question, gives the answer to their question. They say, I am now smarter. I can make a better decision. Now I have a deeper question. And there's this circle, and the analyst is like, great, I'm glad I helped you. Now we're asking a deeper question. And that's what's supposed to happen, is there's this continuous back and forth of the organization getting smarter. What happens in reality is much more of a vicious cycle, where the business may say, can you tell me whether our campaign worked or not? And it's not actually a great form question. It's reasonable, and it's rooted in something they really want to know. The analytics team says, well, I'm going to pull a bunch of data, but you're the one who ran the campaign. I'm going to send that back to you. And the business looks at it and says, this is all relevant, but I don't know that it really answers my question. But I also notice, I need to refine my request. Let me ask you more detail. Can you slice it this way? Can you go back farther? Can you make more comparisons? Goes back to the analytics team. And I mean, you can see this plays out. I was literally right before we recorded this talking to another consultancy, and the guy was saying, we get sent these 100-slide decks. And I'm like, I'm assuming someone's using them. And I'm like, they're not. What happened, this natural thing just kind of bloats up to more. And the problem is, if you look at that and say, where's the problem and who's supposed to fix it? And you've already defined these two parties. So there's this tendency to say, is it the analytics team to fix, or is it the business to fix? And the answer is, it's both. But I actually do think it really starts with the business recognizing their role in kind of breaking that that cycle. But I just think it's everybody says this isn't working, but I assume that's because the other team is on it. They're telling me that they're doing something. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, at Clearhead, I had the great pleasure of working with like over 100 Fortune 1000 companies. I probably like chatted with like another 300. And you maybe wouldn't be. I think most people would be shocked at how few companies have clear and unambiguous alignment between business and, let's call it, the analytical function around what is success, what are the problems we absolutely, like, existential problems we must solve, and then what have we learned along the way that are insights that will change the way we behave. Like, I know, when I talk to most leaders on the business side, they'll tell me that, the goal around analytics or data or research or business intelligence are things like data democratization, or, oh, we're doing like a snowflake migration, or it is almost always tactical. It is never behavioral.